it's really scary when you jump, but you'll always be caught. I realised that I was in somebody else's version of success, and I was like, oh gosh, so I'm on the wrong path now. You know what? You're on the wrong train. You've got a ticket. The issue is, the further you go, the more expensive it is to come home. If you keep working hard, one day you can be like us. And I was like, I don't want to be anybody else but us.
How are all these women around the world creating massive success and impact and not getting lost in everyone else's agenda?
I think it's because they know it's not about everyone else's agenda, right, Andrea? They understand it's not about what you're adding to your plate all the time. They understand it is a system, right? And that is exactly what Sophie Bastock has done as the founder of Cheer London Allstarz and the founder of a charity called Together Rising. It's really incredible to watch her, to hear her story, quite inspiring. And we can't wait for you guys to get to know her at L3.
And as always at L3, it's bigger than cheerleading. This is about the human experience to greatness. You are going to be amazed at this one. Let's jump in.
Yes, I'm so excited to see you, Sophie. Sophie, welcome to the Lead Love Legacy podcast. We're really global today. We are Texas right now. You are from the UK. However, you're in Thailand right now. This is fun. Different time zones altogether. Welcome, welcome.
Hey, listen, our last podcast was about change and adaptability, and you're doing it now. You're doing a podcast in nighttime when you should be in bed, so thank you for that.
Yeah, no worries, no worries. It's a real pleasure to be here, so thank you.
Sophie, we are thrilled to welcome you, and I think one of the reasons your story resonates, not just with us, but with all of our listeners, is because you have done such a good job of building this very heart-centered, values-driven company. So walk with us, first of all, a little bit about what you do and what brought you there.
Yeah, I mean, so this year we actually turned 15, which just feels absolutely wild because it feels like yesterday. I kind of fell into cheer when I fell out of love with the dance industry and did cheer as a kid, and I just fell in love with the sport. The Spice Girls were huge for me growing up. It was, all about girl power, coming together, empowerment. And I kind of just fell back into the sport, and I was like, this is exactly, this sport is me. This is amazing.
But everyone, Sophie, this was a while ago. And I think even to this day, we always get the question, and I know you do too, when people hear that you are in a specific industry, cheerleading specifically in the UK, people get this vision and they go, that's a thing? So pause for a second, because I want to hear the entire story, but pause for a second.
Because we're going to talk about grassroots here with you, but competitive cheerleading and United Kingdom don't typically sync up in the language, and it definitely didn't sync up in the Spice Girls era because no one knew it was really a thing back then. So talk to us about what it was like then in your mind.
Oh my gosh! I mean, when I did, I turned 38 this year, and so when it was cheerleading for me, it was so different from how it looks today. Obviously, we had huge pom poms, which was just wild, and stunts and tumbling were just kind of being introduced. It's crazy, it's incredible. The growth and how it's evolved over the years is amazing. I think probably what hopefully we'll touch on later as well, we've done things a little bit different, so my journey might look quite different to the normal not normal, I wouldn't say any cheer program's normal, gosh, it's all the colours of the rainbow, right? But I think we've had a very different journey with the way that we've grown and the route that we've gone on. So I'm really excited to share all of that with you. But the basis really is we started small and we've just continued to grow. Which has been incredible. And there's a lot of things, I could talk about it all day that I could touch on, but real moments of gold dust for me that I believe some programs might not be doing as of yet, that is that's a moment of gold dust. And that's a lot of these things have opened doors for us, and I'm very much a step through it. I've got an incredible team who support me, and I kind of go and do these magical things, and they're doing all the rest of it. Bless them. I feel like they've got a dustpan and brush sweeping up after me sometimes. But that's really served me. It's a beautiful sign
of the leader that you are, because yes, to a certain extent, great leaders can wave a magic wand, but at the same time, you understand that the business that you're building, the impact that you're making, the lives that you're touching, that is only possible with the team of people around you. And I think that is so critical to all of our journeys. The community that you've built and the community that you serve start weaving together. And so you were talking about how you started so small. That's how every dream starts. What was your mindset in the very beginning when you thought, I personally love this thing, I love the empowerment part of this thing, which insert your own thing. For you, it happened to be cheerleading at that point. That was just the vehicle for the impact that you make. For anyone, that can be the dream of any business. That can just be the dream of having a family. That can just be the dream of leading any kind of team or volunteering somewhere. Whatever that dream is, there had to have been some kind of doubt in your mind, like all of us, or some people giving you that doubt in the space between your ears. Take us back to that moment where you thought, hey, I'm going to do this thing, and everybody doubted you, maybe even yourself doubted you, and you didn't know how you were going to do it, but you knew something had to happen. Where were you in that mindset?
Yeah, I mean, I try and think of who that Sophie was then, because, you know, I believe we've all been like 1,000 different women, right? And I have to really take myself back to that Sophie and that kind of stepping out of that comfort zone. But what I know is it's really scary when you jump, but you'll always be caught. There's always a net. I feel like if you do everything, I've got this real thing about intent. That's my word of the year. 2026 is like intent. I believe anything you do, you know, as long as you have this really aligned intent and it's coming from a real place, you know, heart space, then I believe that you can't go wrong, you know.
Hey, but I want to stop and ask you right there, because you just said you jump with real intent, and then you said you jump, but you'll always be caught. Did you, in real time, know that that was the case, or did you jump just with faith, or was there fear, or were you right in the moment when you jumped? Did you have the capacity to know that you were going to get caught, or were you like, no plan B, go?
Yeah, I mean, for me, I came from a really colourful background. So I've been self-employed since I was 17. I moved to Spain. I was in a girl band tribute at 17. I wasn't even an adult yet. So I've always been kind of like living through these bright colours. So for me, that uncertainty, that element of change, that risk factor, I think I kind of thrived in it, because even when there's like something doesn't quite go right, I'm always like, you know, lesson or a blessing. And I've always kind of been in that mindset. It is really scary though, because I can put myself in the shoes, you know, of somebody else who is, you know, in the infancy of a business, or they're making a big change in their life. It's scary at first, but there's so much beauty on the other side of that. We stay in our comfort zone because it's all we've known and it feels nice and it's warm. There's a really good book called The Comfort Crisis by Michael Easter. I love that book, and he talks about this, and he puts himself in situations that make him really uncomfortable, because he was like, we're in this place of comfort, and I just think we need to really move past that. And I think that's always been taken a step further. So now the kind of, you know, that fear doesn't really lay there anymore. I'm all in. I'm like, yes, we'll give it a go. And if it doesn't work, on to the next.
What do you say to the person who's listening to you right now saying, I want to be her. I'm not where she is. I'm not ready. I mean, okay, I might read a book, or I might put myself into situations, little rejections, so that I can feel more brave, you know, over time. You know, I might do something like that, but I'm listening to this girl on a podcast, or I'm watching her on YouTube right now, and her name is Sophie, and I can tell already she's had all these successes, but I'm not there and I don't know what to do. Like, what's my first step? What do you say to that person?
Yeah, I mean, that's a brilliant question. The first step is taking step number one, right? And I just believe that even at the beginning of any journey, if you take just one action a day, that's 7 actions a week, and you're like, you know, that 1 degree theory, that you're changing that route of the boat, is 1 degree and you're going to end up in a different destination. It hasn't got to be, you know, massive, huge action, because you can have small action that amounts to big action. And it's scary, but the thing is, once you start taking little steps, the steps get bigger, right? And you gain more confidence, and before you know it, you're striding and you're opening doors, and there are going to be rejections, but that's okay, because it's a case of, they're real huge learnings in your life. Some hurt more than others and they take longer to come through the other side of. But what I do know is that we've had some, you know, massive highs and lows, and we're still here. Like we're still moving forwards. So I think, yeah, just that. And one other thing I would say is, especially, you know, if it's in more of like a business sense, in any, you know, terms of of business, the more you can work on yourself, your personal development, your structure, everything else around you just starts everything starts to change and just kind of evolve and grow up. And then the action that you take is it feels like it's got a really strong foundation, because you're the foundation, right? And you've worked on yourself, so you're unwavering. So I would say that they're probably my two top tips. I'd go for those two.
I love that. And I love that you brought up that intention was your word of the year, because it speaks very much to the very foundation of what we teach at Lead, Love, Legacy and the L3 method of leadership. It is literally the most important part of the L3 method of leadership is exactly what you talked about with intention. It is getting very clear about what you stand for, what you will fight for, what matters to you. And that frees you up to make decisions much easier, because all of the decisions you're making and the little actions that you're taking, the 1% actions that you're talking about, those actions are either serving that, what we call your legacy statement. They're either serving that mission, that legacy statement, or they're not. And if they're not, it's really clear to just let that go, let it be the noise over there, and be able to focus on what truly matters. And I think that is what you got very right early on, because that's what equipped you to do what you intended to do. It's what equipped you to go with anything that didn't work out perfectly and go pivot right back to what actually mattered. It's what equipped you to build up the team alongside you as you were also building Leaders for Life. And that is what serves the culture of what you've done, both at Cheer London Allstarz that we're going to be talking about. It's what allowed you to build the culture of your charity that I also want to talk about. And to your point specifically a minute ago, it is what has built you as the most incredible woman that can work in a space that's meaningful to you. And I wish that for every woman on this planet, truly.
Yeah,
truly. So
you.
Congratulations to you on that.
Thank you so honestly, and it means so much. It really does, Ali, coming from you also. But I also wish that for everybody else, because I feel like I know that you'll probably both agree with me, but we're in a world where there's so much noise, and it's really, you have to be on such like a sharp sword, like, you know, standing in your life to know what it is that you actually want, you know. And we've all gone down different paths. Last year we had a huge thing happen in the business, and I was questioning things, and I had to actually question myself, what does success look like to me? Because I realised that I was in somebody else's version of success, and I was like, oh gosh, so I'm on the wrong path now. But I was like, I can literally, and Stacey, our office manager, she's brilliant. She's always got great one-liners, and this is another good like bit of advice. But she said, you know what, you're on the wrong train. You've got a ticket. The issue is, the further you go, the more expensive it is to come home. And I was like, wow. So what you do is you just stop the train and you get off. And I was like, I'm stopping here. I need to think. Yeah, I'm off.
Sophie, that is amazing. And Stacey and all of your team very much speak to the community factor that you've built. I think is just such one of the biggest gifts we have as women, is that not only can we cheer each other on, literally and figuratively, but we can also hold each other accountable. So you do have the girls in your community who go, you're on the wrong train. That's not what you're going for. That is such a big gift. And I think we should all share that and be very, back to your word, intentional about surrounding ourselves with the women who do that in our own communities for our own mission. Yes. Kudos.
Yeah.
Okay, I have a few things I want to jump in with that, and you pick what you want to respond to, okay? Because if you're watching the podcast today, if you're watching the podcast today, I actually want you to take a couple of notes here in your phone or wherever, because these are golden gems that Sophie has dropped, and I don't want to let them just pass by. Number one, earlier in the conversation, you mentioned that you had created a structure, which just came up again because you have people around you. So part of a structure is the people around you. Part of the L3 method of leadership is structure. It's a whole, it's a system that you can go through step by step. So you honor structure, and part of your structure and part of the L3 structure is the creation of the people that have access to you and the people that do not have access. And you put the people who have access to you in your circle because they have wisdom and they're working in your best interest. So Stacy telling you to get off the train and quit causing yourself more money and more, time because you're not on that train. She came in there and held you accountable because she knew you could rise to those things because you put the right people in your circle. So you are automatically protected with that structure. Okay, so that's point number one. It's actually kind of point number 1 and 2 because you had a structure and then you surrounded yourself with the right people. These are pieces of the L3 leadership. These are things that you did for yourself that are obviously helping you. Another thing that's you brought up, and you don't realize you brought up, but I want to share with you that part of the number one step of the L3 system is creating what we call your legacy statement. It's why we're building the community of L3 so that people can go, this is who I am, this is what's important to me, this is what's not important to me, this is what I stand for, this is the impact I want to make. And then once you have that legacy statement, which will evolve and change over your lifetime, but once you know what your legacy statement is, it's your why, but it's a deeper version of your why because you put the intention behind it. Then every decision that you're making going forward, as Aly referenced, serves that mission or it doesn't. In this case, you knew intuitively you were on the wrong train. You might not have used that exact analogy, but you knew this isn't clicking. I'm serving someone else's mission because I just let myself drift. In our words, we're sitting here thinking you let yourself drift from your legacy statement and you realize it's not serving my mission. So again, you've got the structure, you've got the people around you, you know your why, which we call the legacy statement, and you have this whole community that will cheer you on and lift you up and hold you accountable as a gift of love. Okay, did you guys get the notes? Listen to what Sophie just did. This is really phenomenal. And if you took anything from a podcast, this stuff is life-changing. And I'm not talking hype or smoke, and I want you to share with us, how has it changed your life and how does that reflect on the lives of other people? Because you are serving people who are your colleagues, you're serving your athletes, you're serving community members, you're serving your personal family, your personal friendships with this model. How has that changed those relationships?
Wow, that's an amazing, powerful question. I think I know that is there's a real strength that comes through that. I feel like anyone that you surround yourself with in your village, I'm sure you guys have learned that as well. You know that in your life you have your village, and I know that the older you get, the more further you're on your business journey. You surround yourself with a village of people, which is super, super important. I think the more that you can surround yourself with people that are on a similar mindset. I also believe in like mentees, mentors, and being in the room with people that hold you accountable. I invest a lot of time, money, all of being part of that, because that is what is going to really hold your hands, but also step with you as you move forward. It's just so important, and then that obviously reflects on all of your other relationships that you have as well. For the people that are part of your village, I think that's it's so valuable.
Do you know what we call your village? We call it your Hall of Fame. And it
I love that.
Yeah, it's because your Hall of Fame honors the people for who they are and what their gifts and talents are. And they are VIPs in your world. And everyone has capacity to create their own VIP, their own Hall of Fame. And so in our world, the Hall of Fame lifts up the people around us, which is what all of our communities are about. And I think that's a nice way to just find the joy and remember the importance of the talent and the gifts that other people have to add to your life.
Yeah.
Sophie, I want to back up just a minute here because you run a very sizable program. You serve, 2,000 athletes every week? Am I right? Yeah. And their families. So you're a busy girl. You're a busy woman. So, but what I love about this is because of the intention that you put behind building the culture and so forth. You said something to us the other day. You said, I feel like a secret ninja. Say more about that.
Oh, yes. I do feel like a secret ninja. Mainly because, so when I attend cheer events where there's other programs there, and I'm in the room with other programs, and no one's heard of us, and I'm like, and we've been going 15 years, and when I tell them, it's really, I find it funny now, and I'm like, you've probably not heard of us, because we do things a bit differently. We're very much in our own lane, and we're so happy with that. That's what I've built over 15 years. And one of my real strong values is it's okay to have your own little lane that looks different to other people, because we're here with we serve 2,000 children a week, and we do incredible work in the community, and we have so many teams, and it's really abundant, it's amazing. And I think when I tell people, and they're just gobsmacked, they're like, what do you mean? I'm like, yeah, that 2,000 children. They're like, what?
Listen, you have you just said you have a little lane. You have a little lane with a huge impact.
Yeah. I also believe that. Yeah. It's got a lot of offshoots off the lane as well, but they're also, we all do.
Exactly. And I think what's really neat about your story and your journey is that there is a place in this world right now where everybody thinks they need to go do a thing and look a certain way and have a certain number of followers and get this many likes and all of this stuff, that can be such a limiting factor with all of us. Whereas you came in and said, hey, I don't need to do it like everybody else. I want to do it the way it matters to me. And I'm going to start from zero, which is exactly what we're doing with the podcast and the community. Actually, we'll come back to that. But it's really beautiful to watch that you said, I'm going to do it my own way. I'm not worried about the popularity. It's almost laughable in your words that people didn't know who you were when here you are serving all of these people and making this impact the way you are. Walk us through how this is not all rainbows and butterflies and all of that stuff. There's a lot of really powerful, beautiful things about what you do. But talk to us about when things are hard, how do you overcome and how do you marry back to the culture that you're trying to build when things are challenging and they seem impossible going forward? What do you say to the woman who's like, oh, wow, that is a mountain right in front of me. I can't possibly see how this dream can come to fruition?
With that, I would say, grab the people around you that on the outside look like they know a bit more than you. They're like a few steps ahead. Reach out and be like, I love reading. I'm a bit like Matilda. I just feel like the more you can know, the more people you can speak to, the more when times get really hard, I'm really fortunate. I mean, I've been on some masterminds, and I've gained some incredible friends who we now work, alongside each other in very different industries. So I've gone into these rooms and everyone's like, what do you mean cheerleading? And I'm like, duh.
Right?
And they think it's brilliant. I've met some incredible people, but I'm working with people that work in AI. There's tree surgeons. There's all these random different jobs. But what I found is that when it gets hard, don't sit there and just let it stew on your own. So here's the problem, look around it. So I'm around it, I'm asking for advice. when something big happened last year, I remember sitting there and being like, we call it ducks in a row, and we're like, quack, quack. We're like, today I need to get my ducks in a row. So I will sit there with the problem, and I'm like, right, this is the problem. And then I'm like, okay, who do I know? Who do I know? Who do I know? Because I know that if somebody else had a problem, I would want them to come to me, and I could be that anchor. And there has been times where you're not in those groups, you're not around those people, and you feel quite lonely in business, because my team are incredible, that there's some stuff that happens that I physically say, even to our management, I'm taking this, because I don't want it to go onto them, because I'm like, I'm taking it. So I'll take it, and then you're like, well, what am I going to do with this huge problem? And it's difficult. But one bit of advice that I would give, that a business coach gave me, and I was like, that is brilliant, is that when you're, in the infancy of starting a business, or you have a business, or, you're starting a new challenge in life, when you deal with a problem, you deal with it as two people. And when you have a business, I'm sure you both feel the same as well, you put your business hat on and you are straight at the problem, and I'm dealing with it, and I'm making sure everybody's okay, and I'm putting videos up, my staff, everyone's fine, and all the ducks are in a row. And then you close the laptop and you're just like hollow, and you're not on the ground, you're like you're not in your body, you're just all over the place. So then it's like you have to then tend to like Sophie, because I've made the mistake before of being business hat, dealing with everything. And then it's like, but what does Sophie need? Because that,
yes,
and that is when there's hard times, that is a really good place to call on people that are in your circle, that are around you. That's really in those times.
100%.
And then that's what's going to build the strength from there.
Hey, if you love this episode of the L3 podcast, share it with your friends. And don't forget to like and subscribe on YouTube or wherever you watch your podcasts.
So, Sophie, you, again, dropping more gems. So everybody get ready, because here's the notes. First of all, you are so insightful that you knew when the hard stuff was happening that it was your time to lean in to the knowledge that people around you have, but also you actually expanded your worldview because you were willing to reach out to people in other industries. You're investing in masterminds, which is an amazing thing to do, because I think everyone, especially when it's hard, people tend to go, everything's hard, I can't afford this, I'm not looking after myself, why would I spend money on myself when I have money issues? Like, well, that's your ticket to getting out of the rut. And for you to recognize that, to say, I have, not even has to be a money problem, but it has to be a willingness to invest in yourself. And think about women around the world who are trying to do everything. They're trying to, they're not buying the diapers, nappies if you're in England, diapers if you're in America, and whatever other word, but they're not just buying diapers. They're remembering what size to buy. They're thinking in advance of when to go to the store in advance so that you don't run out. And also they're evaluating, does this brand still work for my child? And one brand worked for the first child and it doesn't work for the second child. There's all kinds of mental evaluations that women in particular do that the world doesn't necessarily see. So you're sitting here balancing problems, but you're also leaning into the resources that you have, which is the knowledge of the people around you and the capacity to be coached and mentored and trained, and willingness to invest in time, energy, resources, to invest in learning from those experts in those areas. That is a game changer.
Absolutely. That's where I've seen it. And the biggest growth in me personally as a business owner, and also in the business, was when, and I'm sure my staff would also agree with this, is the moment that I got the spark for business, and to be in those rooms around those people. And there's things that I do, and I'm like, where did that come from? Subconsciously, you take in so much, don't you? Yes. But that is the biggest investment you'll ever make in your life or in your business life, is to be in those rooms with those people, to be mentored, to be the mentee, to be surrounded and be accountable to people, because that is they're the stepping stones, right? But if you've not got anybody else there, it's so easy to sit back in the comfort zone. I feel like that's full circled on that. It's so easy because it's nice there, right? It's comfy, it's nice, it's like a warm blanket. But nothing fun happens there. It's comfy, right?
One thing I love about you, Sophie, is that you recognize, and this is so important, and I want all women to understand this, is that the more success you have and the more impact you have the privilege of making, you start to realize that that can be a really lonely place. And if you are not careful, and if you have not surrounded yourself with the incredible mentorship and community that you have, it gets even lonelier. And so the ability for you to be able to bring that circle in, but here's the most important thing. That circle will not only hold you accountable to your dreams, they will also hold you accountable to making sure that you are taking care of yourself. And the self-care is so important, especially the more success you have, because that also entails more responsibility of taking care, and you're just pouring out of your cup for everyone. And if you're pouring, but you're not filling your own cup, everything dies, everything goes away, and the legacy goes away. So the gift of that community and the mentorship and the gift of your own self-growth to say, you know what, if I don't put myself first, no one puts me first. No one understands how hard it is to do what you do on the journey that you're taking and the dreams that you are achieving and the impact that you're making. So it's so wonderful to see that you said, hang on a second, I'm going to do all those things I need to do, but I'm also going to first take care of me. I'm going to get out to the gym. I'm going to go take care of my own health. I'm going to do what matters to me as much as I am going to be taking care of everyone else. So congratulations on that part.
And also, I'm going to rest. Rest should never be underrated on a physical level or a mental level. Rest is a big deal, and we live in a world that celebrates the grind
the
and
hustle.
all the stuff. Listen, work ethic is a big deal to us. Aly and I, and probably you too, are the hardest working people we all know. But we are very intentional about rest. And when we need rest, we're going to take it. So there's going to be busy seasons where that's not an option. Maybe you have a situation at work where you have no choice. You have to deal with it. But that's not a permanent situation. It's a season. It's a little bit. And Aly and I have those seasons too with our work. But we also are very purposeful about creating kind of the downtime for what your body and your mind needs so that you can pour.
I want to shift gears a little bit. Let's talk about Together Rising.
Yeah, please.
What is Together Rising, Sophie? Tell us about why that is so close to your heart and the mission you have there.
Amazing. So Together Rising, we, ever since Cheer London Allstarz started, we've always had a value that is that every child that wants to participate in sport, in team sport, has a right to team sport, regardless of the social economic background. So what we would do is we would just magic up these free places, and we'd be like, right, everyone can come, let's go. And then as the business starts to get bigger and we get we have more members of staff and everything starts to grow, I was like, this is all great, and we're bringing this money round and we're putting it back into the community. But I was like, what we've now created, unintentionally but intentionally, we can do this properly. I was like, this is like a charitable, so basically we run events within our program, and every event that we run, every single penny that is made in profit, we put back into subsidising fees, funding community projects. So that we've always done that from day one. That's been put back in, and it was kind of the realisation that, okay, we're doing this, we have this model, and then I've got these incredible women that are not just staff, but like the parents of our kids, and I was like, that there's just so much knowledge there, and obviously over the years I've got to know them, and just, we have the most incredible, so we have 7, including myself, 6 other trustees, and we also have 5 incredible advisors, and when we all sit around a table, it's just my favourite place to be, because these women are all coming together and just have these ideas. They have children. A lot of them are working in schools. Like they're living it. A totally different mix of backgrounds. And from that, we then started to build community projects, which is amazing. It's where what I love now is that the Cheer London Allstars has built to this amazing level, and I've learned how to delegate really well. And what we do is we actually we all stay in our zone of genius, basically. So my zone of genius is the kind of magician and the strategic planner and the visionary founder to go and be like, right, let's build this, let's do this, let's make this impact. I now have time in my life to be able to do that and do the charity work, because the Cheer London Allstars is strong. It's got strong foundations and it's running. So now I'm actually doing the work that I've always wanted to do, and it's just pure for the love of it. And I'm like, yes, it's brilliant. And I'm having these conversations, and we're building these incredible projects. Like we want to impact 500 children that are in the care system in South East London. We want them to come and join our teams and our academy and our programme, fully funded indefinitely, so they have a place to call home. We've got these huge ideas, and some of them are already they're already work in progress, and we're sparking them. But I'm really excited because the impact we have and the reach we have and the relationships we have are just, I've always been strong on building relationships with the schools we've been in and with the parents and venues and people in the community. I'll always have a meeting. I'm like, right, how can we work together? How can we partner up? And a reason why the Cheer London Allstars has grown so big, and therefore Together Rising has now grown as well, is because I've sat with people and had amazing conversations, and I'm like, how can we make this work where it's not a business transaction? So I'm like, right, okay, because my thing is, we're in South East London. I'm like, we can't afford this hire that you want us to pay. So I've sat down with the school, 15 years ago, and I was like, we can provide something for the children at your school. I promise you, we can make this incredible programme if you can reduce our hire. And I'm like being cheeky, and I'm doing like a few backhanders. 15 years later, we have 165 children on that programme, 4 teams, 2 competitive teams, and a gymnastics programme. And we're still there. And 15 years later, we have this amazing relationship. And all of that, stepping out, having the conversations, building those relationships, has now organically, everything we've done is organic, has organically grown into this charity, which is, it doesn't feel like it's in its infancy, because it's brilliant. We're doing loads of projects, and even today we just put things together, and I was like, oh my gosh, like there's so much going on with the projects and the people we're working with. So it's really exciting. It really gets me like fired up talking about it. So
what also gets me fired up, because I'm thinking, there's a bazillion things I'm thinking about how amazing this is. You are teaching every child, every adult, every colleague around you what philanthropy looks like, the impact it can make, and what it looks like when you attach intention and goals to it and you take agency of that process. Everyone around you is partaking in that, and they're learning by example what it looks like to give back. And you're so purposeful about it. That's just what's amazing, is that those are life-changing lessons, and those life-changing lessons are like the side gig of the real mission that you have, but it came out that way.
Yeah, and you go with it, right? I think when something rolls in a certain direction, I'm always the one to be like, yes, making magic. It's always a yes from me, and that hasn't really not served us, because it's opened so many doors for everyone around us that's involved.
You've always made it about something bigger than yourself, and I think that's why it works, because you're not afraid to hustle. You're not afraid to use your own gifts and give everyone else on your team the autonomy to use their gifts, which speaks very much to allowing everyone to play to their strengths. That is something so important as a leader that you have leveraged. So that has allowed you to kind of grow in all of these areas. You also speak about some very specific core ethos and core values that Cheer London Allstars have. Some of those actually align with Legacy has the Legacy Way, which is 10 of those beliefs. You guys have 6, And I loved that some of them overlapped, because I think it is a huge shining light. That was unplanned, obviously unknowing, but it's a huge shining light about the power of the sport, but also the power of what women can do when they get together as a team and they really lean in and execute on an idea, and they don't leave it as an idea. They jump in and go, I don't know how this is going to work. I don't know how I'm going to do it. I'm going to say yes, and then we will figure this out as we go.
Yeah.
Do you feel like that was the case? And speak to some of those four characters.
Absolutely.
For Cheer London Allstarz.
Yeah. Absolutely. I mean, Simon Sinek, his book is amazing, but if the why is big enough, the how will reveal itself. And that is always gone in with that. I'm like, the why, like, we have it will just happen, you know, in and around. I think there's a real strong sense of self-belief that needs to be there, which, again, if people don't have that, I've always been quite a strong character anyway, but I know that for people who kind of struggle with that, the more you can surround yourself, we always say, if you stand too close sometimes to me, it might be a bit catching, and then you think you can do crazy stuff, right? So I believe that. So I want to be in the room with the crazies, with the powerful women that want to do great things. I remember when you came to the UK years and years ago, and I saw Legacy, and I saw you both, and I was like, I need to be around these two women. Like, that was and even now, my staff are like, they know that I'm always, because you did something different in the industry. You brought in core values. You brought in what it was to build leaders up through the sport. And it was so very, again, aligned with who we are and what we do. So it's been amazing to watch you two as well. I have to give you that, because it's been, incredible. You're so big on the values and sticking to it. And you see that, it shines, you know, it really shines.
Thank you. I will say this, what was funny about that is right before that moment where you saw us coming into the UK as brand new, and nobody initially knew who we were. And of course, now we fill arenas with 15, 20,000 people.
Yes.
Back then, it was nuts. And back then, we actually had a big giant company say, hey, don't do that thing you're about to do. Come work for us. And so we ended up at basically a boardroom table where this group of men were like, hey, what do you think you would do in this market to grow the sport of cheer and to grow the impact that you're talking about, et cetera? And we laid out completely a map. Hey, here's what needs to happen. Here are the things that we execute on. Here's what the country needs. Here's what the sport needs. But here's what these kids and families need, right? And that's what we did. And they laughed. They were like, that's impossible. What you're pitching is not going to happen. So long story short, we kindly said, okay, thank you, bye. And then we went and we did exactly that.
Yes, of course you did.
But it was, we knew why we wanted to do it. We were not afraid to work like crazy. We knew that we were going to be able to build an incredible team around us to help deliver that, because Andrea and I did not build Legacy alone, as you know. We've got an incredible group of people who are really passionate, but they play to some really great strengths. And our goal has always been to build them up as we journeyed along. And that is exactly what's happened. And I think that is the coolest part about the privileges of what we get to do. And it's also the neatest part now in our lives as we're looking back. And I think you probably do a similar thing, Sophie, is where you are at this moment in your brand and in your business. And for Andrea and I, we feel so privileged that we can be in this giant arena with all these people, and we're changing all these lives over all these decades and yada, yada, yada. And that's wonderful. And at times it's lonely. But what's really cool about now is that now we can keep doing that. But we can also have intimate conversations with people like you who grew up in that experience. Intimate conversations in a community of L3 where no longer are we in an arena where we're broadcasting outwardly to those 15 or 20,000 people. It's a community where we can get to kind of know you guys, and we get to hear your stories, and we get to understand there's so much beauty in the world, and there are so many incredible things that are happening and dreams that are about to happen. And to be able to take what we already know works and to watch it in real life action as we get to know everyone, that is the coolest thing and the greatest gift that even Andrea and I didn't see coming. We knew it was working for us. We didn't understand until now, looking back, that this specific L3 method was so impactful. And to watch stories like yours and so many around us and the women that we are meeting every single day is really cool. Do you feel like, looking back now, what is it that you wish you would have known, or that you would say to someone who is just starting, like on the early days of when you had the dream of doing what you're doing?
Oh my gosh, that's brilliant. I love that. So what I would definitely say is, however you see it unfolding can be your reality. Because it's so easy to jump on the same train as everybody else, because that's all we know. Everyone does that. We all use the same person to do this, and it's all the same. The best thing I've done is divert away. We're still in the cheer industry, but we're not in certain aspects, if that makes sense, because we're so. I had a conversation, and this was a real turning point actually for me. We had an issue where, people, every cheer program has it, where mid-season athletes might move to another program, all of that happens, and it was some children that were scholarshiped, and I always reach out to those programs just to be like, hey, clear communication. And I had a reply just saying, if you keep working hard, one day you can be like us. And I was like, and I said this to Lily, our program director, I was like, I don't want to be anybody else but us. So I was like, I don't want to be in their lane. I want to be in ours. Yeah. And that was a real, a really amazing moment for me, where I will hold hands of kids that want to be on elite programs, go to Worlds. I'm messaging the gym owners. I'm like, right, got this kid. She's amazing. And I'll hold their hand and walk them over, because we're not that. We don't want to be that. We know where we are and who we are. And because we stand so firm in that, there's only love when people, and this is something I find that some in all businesses struggle with, is the letting go of that, because that's the ego, right? It's like that, they've come from, and I've spent all these years building them up, and they're amazing athletes. And I'm like, yeah, but look at what you got to do.
You prepared them to fly.
Yeah. Yes, amazing. So yeah, that would be my thing. It's like, however you see it, like the world needs more people that are magicians, that think outside the box, that are unicorns. We just need more of that in all different areas. So like, be different, but don't be scared of being different. When you surround yourself with the right people, you can be as different as you want, because you have a bit of like an army around you, where we're like, yeah, we're all crazy here, it's fine. Like the Mad Hatter's Tea Party. When you're on your own, I feel like when you're on your own, that's scary, right? Because you're just this amazing person with these wacky ideas, and you just think, I'm just mental. But then when you have people that are like, you're not mental, you're a wizard, you're like, right, then we're doing it. We're doing it. Yeah.
I love it. What I love about you is that you operate out of abundance, and it's the perspective you have about your athletes, basically your customers in some cases, departing to go to other places when it's right for them, is so refreshing. And thank you for that, because being able to stand so firm in who you guys were from the very beginning allowed you to operate out of that abundance, and it allowed you to stay true to exactly who you are. This is so important across everything, not just a cheerleading business, but across every single industry, and just in humanity. Being true to who you are is so key. And when you do that, you attract 100% of the people who are right for you, and none of the people who are not. And when the seasons in our lives change, you have different friendships, different relationships, different customers in this case. They just flow in and out. And that should be a beautiful thing, not a bad thing. So I think you are doing everything beautifully and right. And it's really, really wonderful to watch.
You are certainly the epitome of the L3 method of leadership, but you're also just the epitome of a woman who really knows that she is worthy of greatness. She is worthy of success. She is worthy of passing that on and just creating the impact that you were born to create, that all of us are born to create. And you really have mastered the process of creating those moments in lives for yourself and for others. So it's a delight to have you. Everybody who is listening and watching today on YouTube, thank you for joining us. Until next time, everyone, lead boldly, love deeply, and live your legacy. We'll see you soon.
Bye.
Thanks for joining us today on the Lead, Love, Legacy podcast. Remember, lead boldly, love deeply, and live your legacy. If this episode encouraged you, like and subscribe and share it with someone who needs it.
And join us next time as we continue to build leaders and legacies for life.